I thought we were fine. Throw away because a few friends know my main, and I'm not ready for this to be public. I'm a 34, my wife is 32, and we've been married for just over 6 years. Together for 10. No kids yet. Or, not anymore, but I'll get to that later. Up until a few months ago, I genuinely thought we were solid. Not perfect, but normal married people solid. We argued about dumb stuff. Chores, money, whose turn it was to call her mother, but nothing that felt relationship ending. I trusted her. Like, fully trusted her. I never checked her phone, never questioned where she was, never worried when she went out with friends. I was that guy who rolled his eyes at Reddit cheating stories and thought, yeah, but I notice. Turns out, that was my first mistake. The first signs were small. Annoyingly small. She started snapping at me over nothing. If I asked how her day was, I'd get a sigh like I'd personally ruined it. If I wanted to talk, she'd say she was too tired, but somehow had energy to scroll on her phone for hours. She also started rewriting history during arguments, saying things like, "You've always been emotionally unavailable," which was news to me considering I was the one trying to talk while she stonewalled. She also suddenly became very protective of her phone. Not just normal privacy, like screen angled away, phone face down, taking it with her to the bathroom every single time. If I joked about it, she'd bite my head off and accuse me of not trusting her or being controlling. That word came up a lot, controlling. Any question I asked became proof I was the problem. Then there was the schedule change. She started working late, 2 or 3 nights a week. Her job had never required that before, but when I asked, she said they were understaffed and I would know that if I actually listened. That comment stuck with me. It felt unnecessarily cruel. The weirdest part? She also started being extra affectionate at random times. Like love bombing out of nowhere. One night, she brought home my favorite takeout, kissed me like we were still dating, and said, "You're lucky I put up with you." She laughed. I didn't. I remember lying in bed that night staring at the ceiling, feeling this low-grade anxiety I couldn't explain. Nothing concrete. No proof. Just this awful sense that something was off and I was slowly being repositioned as the villain in my own marriage. I wish I'd trusted that feeling sooner. That's where this really starts. The gut feeling gets louder. After that night, I started noticing everything. Not in a paranoid, CSI way. More like when you suddenly realize a tooth hurts and now you can't stop touching it with your tongue. She stopped asking about my day entirely. If I talked anyway, she'd half listen, nodding while texting. When I paused mid-sentence, she wouldn't even notice. Once I said, "Are you even hearing me?" and she snapped, "God, do you always need this much attention?" That one stung. I'm not an emotional vampire. I just wanted my wife to care. She also started rewriting our marriage in real time. Things she used to like about me were suddenly flaws. I was too predictable, not ambitious enough, always in the way. She'd say it casually, like she was commenting on the weather, then act offended if I reacted. One night, she came home at almost midnight. No text, no call. I was sitting on the couch pretending to watch TV, but actually staring at the door like an idiot. When she walked in, I asked, calmly, if everything was okay. She rolled her eyes and said, "I can't believe you're interrogating me." Interrogating? I'd asked one question. I apologized. That's embarrassing to admit, but I did. I said I was just worried. She softened instantly, which in hindsight feels gross. She hugged me, told me I was being sweet but paranoid, and said work was just stressful. Then she went to shower with her phone. That was the moment something clicked. Not proof, just clarity. The way she flipped between cold and affectionate felt calculated. Like she was managing me, not loving me. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I told myself I was overreacting. That Reddit had rotted my brain. That marriage goes through phases. But my body didn't buy it. I stopped sleeping properly. I started waking up at 3 a.m. with my heart racing. I replayed conversations in my head, catching little inconsistencies. The lies weren't dramatic. They were sloppy. Part 3, the first crack. The discovery wasn't dramatic. No lipstick on collars, no walking in on anything. It was stupidly mundane, which somehow made it worse. I was on our shared laptop paying bills. We've always shared it. Never had a reason not to. I opened the browser and a message notification popped up in the corner. Normally I'd ignore it, but the name caught my eye because I didn't recognize it. Just a first name. Mark. My stomach did that slow, awful drop. I didn't open it right away. I stared at the screen for a full minute, arguing with myself. I told myself it was probably a coworker, or a friend of a friend, or spam. Literally anything except what my gut was screaming. Then another message came in. "Last night was insane. Can't stop thinking about you." I felt cold all over, like someone had opened a window inside my chest. My hands were shaking so badly I had to sit down. I clicked the chat. I wish I hadn't, but also I needed to. It wasn't explicit. That almost made it worse. Inside jokes, flirty banter, references to next time, a heart emoji, a message from her saying, asterisk, I hate lying to him, but I don't regret us. Asterisk. Him. Not my name. Just him. I scrolled further back. There it was. The slow progression. Friendly at first, then teasing, then late night messages, then things like, asterisk, I wish I was waking up next to you. Asterisk. I don't remember how long I sat there. 10 minutes? An hour? Time felt fake. I heard the shower turn off upstairs. Panic hit me all at once. I closed the laptop, my heart pounding so hard I thought I might throw up. I didn't want her to catch me mid-read, not because she deserved privacy, but because I needed a second to process before everything blew up. She came downstairs wrapped in a towel, hair wet, acting completely normal. Asked if I'd paid the internet bill yet. I said yes. My voice sounded weird to my own ears. She smiled, leaned down, kissed the top of my head, and said, thanks, babe. I almost lost it right there. That night, I barely slept. I stared at the wall while she slept next to me, breathing softly, completely at ease. I kept thinking about how easy it was for her, how she could lie all day and still sleep like nothing was wrong. By morning, my shock had hardened into something else. Not rage yet. Something sharper. I need to know how far this went. And that's when I made my second mistake. I decided to keep quiet, for now. Part 4, playing dumb. I didn't confront her right away. I know some people will say that was weak or stupid, but honestly, I needed time. Once you open that door, there's no closing it again. So I played dumb. I kissed her goodbye in the mornings. I asked how her day was. I nodded along while she complained about work and coworkers, some of whom, I now realized, might not even exist. Every normal interaction felt surreal, like I was acting in a play where only one of us knew the script was fake. Meanwhile, I started quietly paying attention. Her late nights lined up almost perfectly with gaps in the message timestamps I'd seen. She'd suddenly shower as soon as she got home, even if it was midnight. She kept her phone on silent now, face down, always within arm's reach. One night, while she was working late, she texted me saying she'd be home soon. An hour passed, then 2. I checked the chat again on the laptop. New messages. I wish I could stay longer. I hate going back to him after this. I felt sick. What really messed with my head was how bitchy she'd become at home. Like she needed to justify what she was doing by turning me into a monster. If I forgot to do a chore, it was proof I didn't care. If I disagreed with her, I was emotionally unsafe. She picked fights over nothing, then stormed off and slammed doors like a teenager. At one point she actually said, sometimes I wonder if I'd be happier alone. She said it casually, like she was commenting on the weather, then waited for my reaction. I asked her if she was unhappy in our marriage. She laughed. Actually laughed. God, you're so dramatic. Why do you always jump to the worst conclusion? That gaslighting hit harder than the messages. A few days later, a sudden event forced my hand. She came home early, like middle of the afternoon early. I was working from home and heard the door slam. She was furious, red-faced, pacing. Apparently, someone at work had accused her of crossing boundaries with a colleague. She ranted for 20 minutes about how unfair it was, how people were jealous, how she was always being misunderstood. I sat there, nodding, while every word felt like it was aimed directly at me. She ended it by saying, I would never cheat. That's disgusting. She looked me straight in the eyes when she said it. That was the moment my shock finally turned into anger. Not explosive anger. Not yet. The quiet kind. The kind that settles in your chest and tells you, asterisk, this isn't confusion anymore. This is betrayal. Asterisk. And I knew the confrontation was coming. I just didn't know how ugly it was about to get. Part 5, the slip-up. The thing about liars is they eventually get sloppy. 2 nights later, she left her phone on the kitchen counter when she went to shower. That never happened anymore. Ever. My heart started pounding immediately, like my body reacted before my brain caught up. I told myself I wouldn't touch it. I even stood up to walk away. Then it buzzed. One notification. Then another. Then a third. Same name. Mark. I picked it up. My hands were numb. This time, there was no ambiguity. No flirty gray area. No room for denial. Can't believe we almost got caught today. I know. My husband is so oblivious it's honestly sad. Tomorrow then? Yes. Same place. I'll tell him I'm working late. I had to sit down. My legs literally gave out, and I ended up on the kitchen floor like a cliche. She was upstairs, humming. That's when the sudden events really started piling up. While I was still staring at the screen, a message came through from her to me. Running late tonight. Don't wait up. I looked down at the phone in my hand, then at the message on my phone. It felt unreal. Like watching 2 versions of the same lie happening in real time. I took screenshots. All of it. Dates. Times. Messages. I emailed them to myself, backed them up to the cloud, sent them to a burner email I created on the spot. I wasn't thinking emotionally anymore. I was thinking survival. She came downstairs wrapped in a hoodie, hair damp, acting completely normal. "Hey," she said, cheerful. "I'm meeting a coworker for drinks. Long day." I looked at her and realized something terrifying. She wasn't nervous. She wasn't conflicted. She wasn't guilty. She was annoyed that she had to explain herself at all. I asked, "Which coworker?" She didn't even hesitate. Gave me a name. A woman's name. Lie. On top of lie. On top of lie. I nodded and said, "Okay, drive safe." She smiled, grabbed her purse, and kissed my cheek. "You're being weird lately," she added. Just saying. The door closed behind her. And just like that, I was alone in our house, surrounded by proof that my marriage had been rotting for months while I played the supportive husband. I didn't cry. Not yet. Instead, I opened my laptop, pulled up every screenshot, and realized something else had shifted. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was done pretending I didn't see it. And the confrontation? It was coming faster than I planned. Part 6. The confrontation. She came home around 1 a.m., smelling like a bar and confidence. Not drunk, just careless. I was sitting at the kitchen table with my laptop open. She froze for half a second when she saw me, then recovered fast. "What's with the interrogation setup?" she asked, annoyed. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just said, "Who is Mark?" Her face didn't crumble like in the movies. It hardened. "I don't know what you're talking about," she snapped immediately. So I turned the laptop toward her. Screenshots. Messages. Dates. Her calling me oblivious. Her planning meetups. Her lying in real time. She stared at it for maybe 10 seconds. Then she scoffed. "Wow," she said. "You went through my phone? That's disgusting." That's when I knew. Not just that she cheated, but that she would never take responsibility. She pivoted instantly. Said Mark was just a friend. Then said it was emotional, not physical. Then said it only happened because you've been distant. Then said she was lonely and I didn't fight for her enough. It was like watching someone throw spaghetti at a wall to see what stuck. When I pointed out the explicit messages, she rolled her eyes and said, "You're being dramatic." Dramatic. That word will haunt me forever. Part 7. The lies get mean. Once she realized I wasn't backing down, her tone shifted. She got cruel. She told me she'd been unhappy for years. Said she married me because it was easy, not because she was in love. Said Mark made her feel seen in ways I never did. She actually laughed at one point and said, "I didn't think you'd ever catch on." Then, "This part still makes my chest tight," she said. "If you were a better husband, I wouldn't have needed him." I asked her if she ever planned to tell me. She shrugged. "I figured you'd just keep doing what you do. You're comfortable. Predictable." 10 years. Reduced to predictable. I told her I wanted her out of the house. She refused. Said it was her house too. Then accused me of abandoning the marriage because I wouldn't talk it through. Talk it through. After months of lying. She slept in the bed that night. I slept on the couch. I stared at the ceiling until sunrise, replaying every moment of our relationship and wondering which parts were real. Part 8. Everything collapses at once. The next week was chaos. She started telling people her version first. I didn't even know until my sister called asking if I was okay and why my wife said I'd been emotionally abusive. That one knocked the air out of me. Apparently, according to her, I was controlling, cold, neglectful. She told friends she fell into something because she was scared to leave me. She conveniently left out the lying, the mocking, the screenshots. At the same time, Mark's wife found out. I didn't even know he was married until I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. Just one line. "I know about them. Do you?" Everything accelerated after that. Lawyers. Panic. My wife crying 1 minute, raging the next. She begged me not to ruin her life, then threatened to take everything if I didn't cooperate. She still refused to admit fault, even with evidence. Even when Mark ghosted her the second things got real. That part was almost funny. Almost. Part 9. The emotional freefall. This is the part no one prepares you for. The silence. Once the anger burned off, I was left with this hollow, aching sadness. I'd wake up and forget for half a second, then remember everything all over again. I lost weight without trying. Food tasted like cardboard. Sleep came in broken pieces. I kept asking myself stupid questions. Was I really that bad? Did I miss signs earlier? If I'd been different, would she have stayed faithful? Therapy helped. So did writing everything down. Seeing the pattern, the manipulation, the way she needed to be the victim even while she was betraying me. One night she tried to crawl into my arms crying, saying she made a mistake and didn't want to lose me. I asked her one question. "Are you sorry you hurt me, or sorry you got caught?" She couldn't answer. That was my answer. Part 10. The decision. I filed for separation the next morning. She was shocked. Genuinely. I think she believed I'd cave eventually, that I'd stay because I always had. She screamed, then cried, then went cold and said, "You'll regret this." Maybe, but I knew one thing for sure: staying would destroy me. I moved out 2 weeks later with a suitcase and my dignity, bruised, but intact. She kept the house. I kept my sanity. Fair trade. The marriage didn't end because of one affair. It ended because of the lies stacked on top of lies, the cruelty, the refusal to own her choices. I'm not healed, not even close. But for the first time in months, I can breathe. And that counts for something. Part 11, Fallout and Flying Shrapnel. I underestimated how messy separation gets when the other person refuses accountability. Mutual friends started picking sides, quietly at first, then loudly. Some stopped texting me altogether. Others reached out with awkward, "I don't want to get involved," but messages that absolutely got involved. A couple straight up asked what I did to make her cheat. That one hurt more than I expected. She was still telling anyone who'd listened that she made a mistake, but that I was emotionally absent for years. She framed the affair as a symptom, not a choice. Meanwhile, she was still texting Mark occasionally, apparently to get closure. Sure, the wild part: when Mark's wife kicked him out, he suddenly wasn't so charming anymore. He blamed my wife for ruining his life. That's when she started spiraling. Angry voicemails, drunk texts to me, alternating between, "I miss you," and "You're heartless." I stopped responding. Part 12, Legal Reality Check. Lawyers strip everything down to facts, and facts don't care about feelings. Once the paperwork started, her tune changed. The confidence vanished. Suddenly, she wanted to be amicable. Suddenly, she wanted to talk like adults. She asked if we could pause the process and try counseling. I said no. She accused me of being vindictive. Said I was throwing away 10 years over a mistake. I calmly reminded her it wasn't one mistake. It was months of lying, manipulation, and contempt. The lawyer later told me something that stuck. Cheating is bad, but deception is what ends marriages. That was exactly it. We finalized the separation terms quickly. No kids made it easier. Still painful, but cleaner than it could have been. Part 13, The Quiet After the Storm. After everything settled, there was this strange calm. No more arguments. No more tension. No more wondering what version of her I'd get when she walked through the door. Just quiet. At first, the quiet was terrifying. Then it became peaceful. I started doing small things again. Cooking for myself, going on long walks, reconnecting with friends I'd drifted from. I realized how much of myself I'd been shrinking to keep the peace. One night, I caught myself laughing at something dumb on TV and froze. It felt like betrayal to be okay. But it wasn't. It was healing. She accused me of being vindictive. Said I was throwing away 10 years over a mistake. I calmly reminded her it wasn't one mistake. It was months of lying, manipulation, and contempt. The lawyer later told me something that stuck. Cheating is bad, but deception is what ends marriages. That was exactly it. We finalized the separation terms quickly. No kids made it easier. Still painful, but cleaner than it could have been. Part 14, What I See Clearly Now. Looking back, the affair wasn't the beginning. It was the symptom of who she already was, and who she'd been hiding. The gaslighting, the rewriting history, the cruelty disguised as honesty. I ignored so many red flags because I believed love meant endurance. It doesn't. Love doesn't ask you to erase yourself. It doesn't punish curiosity. It doesn't mock trust. I've stopped blaming myself for not catching it sooner. Trust isn't a flaw. Being lied to isn't a failure. Her choices were hers. Full stop. Part 15, Final Thoughts. If you're reading this because something feels off in your relationship, listen to that feeling. If someone cheats and immediately blames you, minimizes it, or makes themselves the victim, pay attention. That tells you everything you need to know about how conflicts will always be handled. You can survive betrayal. It will hurt in ways you didn't know were possible, but you can come out clearer, stronger, and more yourself than before. I didn't lose my marriage. I lost someone who was already gone, and I gained my life back. If you're in it right now, you're not crazy, you're not weak, and you're not alone.